Shh. Hey, Algebra 2 Trig, we're doing 9.3 geometric series. The essential question is, how do I find the sum of a geometric series? And then I need you to write down two formulas. The first formula is to find a finite geometric series. Okay, and finite means that it actually stops at a certain point. And then the second one is to find an infinite geometric series. And the difference between finite and infinite, so infinite has infinite number of terms, so it goes from 0 to infinity, or 1 to infinity. And the other one will actually stop at a number. Okay, so the first one we're doing is a finite geometric series. It goes from 1 to 9. It doesn't go to infinity. So I am going to use the formula S equals, or S sub n equals a sub 1 minus r to the n over 1 minus r. Okay? So n will be the number of terms there are. And if I look, it's 1 to 9. So if I count from 1 to 9, it will be 9 terms. Another way to find this is you can subtract it and add 1. So if I subtract 9 from 1, I get 8. And then I add 1 because I have to count the first term. So I have 9 terms. A sub 1 is the first term, so I'm going to take 1 and plug it in here. So if I take 1, I plug it in here, it would be 2 to the 1 minus 1, which is 2 to the 0. 2 to the 0 is 1, so that's my a sub 1. And then r is going to be the ratio at which I multiply. So if you remember back to 9.1, if you remember, every time I said you multiply by something, we take it to the nth power. So since it's 2 to the n minus 1 power, I am multiplying by 2, and that is going to be my r. Okay, so it'll be 1 minus 2 to the n, which was 9, over 1 minus 2. Then from there I just simplify, so 1 times whatever is going to be that. Okay, 2 to the 9th power is, hold on. Two to the 9th power, you might have to use your calculator. What? 512. Is 512. So it'll be 1 minus 512 over 1 minus 2. 1 minus 512 is negative 511. 1 minus 2 is negative 1. If I simplify that correctly, it's 511. So the sum of my finite geometric series is 511. Okay. All right. In the second example, we're going to do an infinite one. So we'll do a series, and it will go from 1 to infinity of 2 times 7/3 n minus 1. Now if you look at the conditions of your geometric series, it needs to be less than, r needs to be less than 1 for it to have a sum. If it's over 1, then it won't have a sum. So first I have to figure out what r is. And again, back to example 1, it was whatever is taken to the nth power. So 2 is not my r, this is going to be my r, because I'm taking 7/3 to the n minus 1 power. So r is 7/3. And if I look at 7/3, that's actually greater than 1. So 7/3 is going to be greater than 1, so therefore there's going to be no sum. Okay? So that will not work, and there's no sum, so we can't do that. Okay? Let's do example 3, and let's do the same problem, except I'm going to change the r, so n equals from 1 to infinity of 2 to the, instead of 7/3, I'm going to write 3/7 to the n minus 1. Okay, so again, I have to check if r is greater than 1. So right now r is 3/7 and 3/7 is less than 1, so I'm okay. I can use the formula for a sum of an infinite geometric series. So S equals A1 over 1 minus R. Make sure you use the right equation, okay? So A1 is going to be the first term, so I'm going to plug in 1 into here, and make sure you follow your order of operations. So if I plug in 1 here, it'll be 3/7 to 0. Do not multiply the 2 first. 2 and the 3/7. I have to take 3/7 and take it to the 0 power and then multiply by 2. So 3/7 to 0 power is 1. 1 times 2 is 2. I know my R is 3/7. Okay, and then from there I just have to do some math. So it'll be 2 over, probably have to get a common denominator. So 1 is 7 over 7 minus 3/7. And then I have 2, I'm going to write that as a fraction. So 2 over 1 divided by 4 over 7. And then I'll multiply by the reciprocal. So 2 over 1 times 7/4. So my final answer is 14/4, which is 7/2. So the sum will be 7/2. And if you think about why R has to be less than 1, we can talk about that in class, but as R, think about if I have an infinite amount of terms, if R is greater than 1, what's going to happen? And if R was less than 1, what's going to happen? So we'll talk about that tomorrow in class. If you have any questions, write it down.